set ourselves, our mindset, our week, our month, our rest of this year up for massive epic growth and contribution and success. And that starts with getting filled up, getting inspired, getting ready to rise. So I'm so, so, so happy and thrilled to have you all here today. Those of you in our live audience here on Zoom, and all of you on social and through all the platforms that you are listening in on. We're so thrilled that you're here. So today, I announced last time we were going to do a special episode where some of you sent in questions ahead of time. Some of you, if you're on the live chat here in Zoom, you'll be able to post some questions. We're going to do some Q&A, some of the biggest questions that we're getting asked, that I'm getting asked, that our team is getting asked about being thought leaders, being best-selling authors in this very unique and special year that we're having. And I don't know that any year is there's probably no year that's like another year, right? There's always something that's new and different, right? We kind of go, when is it back to normal? Well, there is no normal anymore, right? Does anyone, like there, it doesn't exist. And so what we can either feel a little bit, I don't know what I want to say. Like, we could feel a little bit daunted by that. Like, oh, there's a lot to navigate and figure out, or we can feel excited about the possibilities, because when there's change, even things that feel chaotic, which people could say maybe parts of this year, with different economic, political, global, all kinds of forces and sources, that is the breeding ground for innovation and creativity. When we're in comfort zone, when we're in the status quo, when we're in rinse and repeat, when we're in coast, it can feel really nice. If anyone's had an experience like that in the last 5 years, I'd love to hear about it. I have not. I have not had that experience, right? Being an entrepreneur and being a writer and being a thought leader. And the downside to comfort zone, coast, like rinse and repeat, is that there is the danger of stagnation. We can lose innovation, we can lose creativity. The opportunity in these times is if we can embrace and lean into, yeah, it's not just what I did the last 10 years, rinse and repeat. It is this time is calling forth something new and different, whether I'm launching a book, enrolling into my ongoing, coaching or consulting work, whether I'm going out and being a speaker. I mean, the amount of inquiries and emails and messages and DMs that I get every single week from people saying pitching speaking has changed so much. Getting on podcasts is totally different. Launching a book is different. Being a coach and an expert is different. Yeah. And what if we could be the ones, because if you're part of this community, which you are by being here and listening to this today, like, we can be the people that rise in that, and we bring others with us. When we rise, everybody rises, right? And so that's what I'm offering today as we go through some Q&A and just have a conversation. We'll probably do a part 2 or even a part 3 of this, because we've gotten lots and lots of questions. And if you have a question for the next episode, you can put it in the social comments. If you're watching this on social, you can put it in the podcast comments. You can put it in the Zoom chat, so that it probably is going to take up most of today with the ones that you all that sent in questions ahead of time asked. Okay, so that's what we're going to be up to, and we're going to be dialoguing about why would we bother answering these questions? Because if one person has the question, likely most of us have the question, right? Here's what I want to preface before we get into this Q&A style episode. There is something that we believe deeply and strongly. I believe it personally, and it is part of our culture at Thought Leader Academy, that the answer is in the room. The answer you seek, the solution, the opportunity, the money, the time, the strategy, the big idea. I like to call it the divine download. It is at hand. When we ask the question, the answer is inherent in asking the question. That's part of the yin and the yang, the wholeness of the universe, the call and response. So I'm just going to offer that, just to see if that's not something you've been practicing or thinking about or embodying, just to walk in a space that what you are seeking is seeking you, and that the answers you need are at hand. And that by asking the answer is guaranteed. The answer is assured. Okay. That's the consciousness that we work in Thought Leader Academy. That's the way I choose to live my life. And some days it's an act as if, because it feels overwhelming to think, what's the fix for this? What am I solving for here? But the answer really, and since I have adopted a number of years ago, where I've really set a commitment in my mind that any answer I seek is at hand, the answer is in the room. It is astounding how often that is proven true and quite quickly. All right. And it came to me. I've shared the story many times when I was speaking at an event and Marianne Williamson was doing the keynote and I was one of the like warm-up speakers. And she talked about in nature, whenever there is a poisonous plant, something that is poisonous to humans or animals, that the antidote grows within 12 feet. This was something that was discovered by, I don't know if it was botanists or, whoever was discovering this, that the antidote is within 12 feet of the poison. And so I take that on a metaphoric level here for our work, that whatever we need is at hand. It's here for us. It's not even far away. It's within a couple steps. The answer's in the room. Okay. So if we all just take a breath, even if it's just for this week, that you're going to walk around in the answer is in the room. The answer you're seeing is in the room. Now, we have some actual questions today that we're going to answer. And again, please feel free to share in the chat or in the comments on social, wherever you are watching this broadcast, so that we can answer those in upcoming Q&A episodes. So one of the things that I get asked so much from people is, how do you find like the time to do all the things? What we are being asked as leaders in this time is to be marketing experts on social media, churning out content as content creators on different platforms, email and socials and newsletters. We're, what are meant to be writing books, writing talks, going out and, doing podcast tours, doing books. I mean, there's a long list. Anyone relate? Like put yes in the comments or the Zoom when you're like, it's a long list. Where do I find the time? And so I come at this from a very maybe possibly different way that might be something you want to try on, where I don't focus on finding the time for anything because there isn't any. I have a child, a dog, a husband, family. I am involved, contributing in my community. I care about, causes that I, contribute time and money to. I take care of my health. I work out. My son is very, I have one child, but he's an active child in many activities in sports and school and all these different things. I have two businesses and, a team. And so there's no time. There's never going to be any time. There's never going to be a convenient time. And there isn't going to be on paper time to add anything ever. So I don't even look at that as the starting point. What I focus on is my vision. And I deeply feel into what I feel called to on a soul level. This is just my words. You can substitute, whatever makes sense for you. What I feel really passionate about, what I feel really inspired about, when I get that hit. Who knows when I know we're not all in like one big, a live audience room together, but let me know in the comments or the chat if you know when you get an idea that's got some buzz. Like you get an intuitive hit, you get an inspiration, you get the big magic strikes. And whether it's for your next book or it's for a course, it's for an offer, it's for a connection, a program, an event, like a thought leader asset, like you feel it, right? We can feel when that happens. So I pay very close attention to those. And I do mindset work at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, that's another thing. Who has time to journal and meditate? And well, I'll tell you how I quote unquote find the time, because to me, it's non-negotiable. I've got to get my channel aligned and tuned and clear so that those ideas come. And then when I get one, I do not ask first, how can I figure out the time to do this? The first thing I do is I make a decision, because decisions determine our destiny, that I'm going to bring this idea into fruition, that I'm going to co-create the manifestation of this vision with the universe. Okay. This is my woo-woo language. If you don't like it, you can substitute. This is all could be very scientific. Neuroscience proves all these same, processes and principles, right? So we make a decision to bring this idea into form, into life, into fulfillment, to completion. And then I invite my time and schedule to open up in a way and make space. This is what people call Einsteinian time. If you've read The Big Leap, the book The Big Leap, you'll know this principle. The time will show up. The answer's in the room, the time is in the room. And the way that it stays available, or that I find it, is I do some brain primes. This is the science part that I'm going to show you, the brain primes I use to figure out where the time and the energy and the resources could come from. But I also make it a non-negotiable. I make it non-negotiable. If I say I'm doing a book and I'm going to have this book done in, 6 weeks or 6 months or whatever my time frame that I feel like is aligned, with what I'm feeling, then I make it non-negotiable. How do I make it non-negotiable? I tell people that I care about not disappointing that I'm doing this, and by when will I do it? And that is one of the first steps I take in making sure, because I'm not going to come to all of you and say, I'm teaching book writing and then I'm going to just, sit around and never do another book. I'm not going to do that. And so I find ways to make it non-negotiable for myself. I let people know, here's what I'm doing and by when. I have accountability partners. I have writing groups. I have a coach. I have, people I care about that are our clients in Thought Leader Academy that I am not going to not keep my word to, right? And so I make it non-negotiable by letting people know, by creating accountability structures. So then the time will reveal itself, because it's not about the time anymore. It's about a commitment that I've made. It's about a yes that I've given. And so it is incredible how time will move and morph, because a lot of the time, it's not really about time. It's about valuing and believing in and prioritizing that what I'm doing is worth doing. Does anyone else relate to that? Like, if someone promised all of us today that they would give us $1 million on Friday if we fill in the blank of your thing that you haven't been getting done, writing your book, reaching out for speaking, booking podcasts, starting a podcast, whatever it is that you've been wanting to do this year and you haven't done it yet. If someone said, I'll give you $1 million by Friday if you, make substantial progress, every single one of us would do it. I don't think a single person here, whether you felt well, had energy, were in a fight with your mom, like didn't sleep well or did sleep well, felt inspired, it wouldn't matter. Do we get that? Like, it wouldn't actually matter, because we would be like, well, I'm going to get $1 million, which is going to open up all these opportunities, right? So I play that game with myself. I pretend someone is promising me $1 million at the end of the week. And then so the time will open up when we make something non-negotiable. We will just figure it out. I committed to doing a podcast every single week. We've done it every single week since it started. If I'm traveling, I batch them. I record several episodes before I go. Like, I'm going to be on a trip starting Wednesday for a week and a half. All the podcasts through September, beginning of September, are already done, because I'm not going to miss a week, because I said I'm doing it every week. Did that mean I, did some on a weekend? Yeah. And I do not believe anything I'm doing is in what anyone will call hustle. Like, it's not, to me, hustling. It's about making decisions and let my life being led by a vision, and then making the choices that allow that to happen. So there's habit stacking. That's why I've got a book done in 6 weeks. Those of you that were on that journey with me, I thought it couldn't be done. It used to take me 3 or more years to write a book. And I thought there's no way, but some of our clients asked, could you make a playbook for a 6-week book? And I thought, well, I'm going to do this, right? There's some people here that want to do their book in 6 weeks. Let's figure this out. And it took me really digging deep and realizing, how can I habit stack? How can I write a chapter on the book on Otter dictating while I'm also walking on the treadmill and getting my workout in? How can I be driving to my son's school, dictating the next section of the book? And then, yes, I have to get on the computer and turn it into book form. But, I was able to I innovated all kinds of time hacks to get that book done in 6 weeks. I also got up an hour earlier. That was a choice, but the time was there. And so, yeah, some people in the Zoom were saying, intentionality versus hustle. This is about leading from vision and letting the time build up around. And then guess what doesn't go? There were things that just get to be said no to. They're not the priority right now. So there is some just legit, this piece I'm not doing right now. This project isn't happening right now. I'm doing the book in 6 weeks. So that's one of the questions we got. How do you find the time? And what I start with is the vision, making a decision to bring that vision into form. And then here are the brain primes. Instead of saying, oh my God, I don't have time, this is going to be stressful. There's so much already. I can't see anything anymore. To like, how can I find the time? We ask a how question. We ask it to our brain, our higher self, our subconscious mind. How could I find the time? How could this book get written in 6 weeks, even though I already have a packed schedule? And if you really want to supersize it, because I'm a supersized girl, right? Except at McDonald's, which I don't go to, but but I love that movie because it inspired me in this practice. Then the one you can do, which is activating your reticular activating system in the brain, is you say, how did I? You time travel and you just say, remind me how I figured out how to write this book in 6 weeks. And you send your reticular activating system in the brain is just like a dog fetching a toy. It will go fetch whatever toy you throw to. Go get the bone, and you throw a bone, the dog will go get the bone. So if you throw out, I don't have enough time, it's going to bring you the I don't have enough time bone. You're going to feel stressed and overwhelmed and you won't have time. So what bone are we throwing it? How did I write this book in 6 weeks? How did I do outreach for speaking even when I can't see there's like that's it, right? So this was an answer to many different questions because I got asked about time, prioritization, accountability. So the accountability question you ask yourself is, who would I be unwilling to disappoint? Who in my life or what group or person or structure or organization would I be unwilling to disappoint? And that is the person you're going to use as your accountability. And if you don't have someone in your life like that, like if you're in a group right now or friendships or relationships where everyone's kind of letting each other off the hook, this is not about judging and task mastering and, being like, "Rah, rah, rah." But I know there are people that I don't want to say, here's what I'm going to do today. And then tell them, oh, I watched 4 episodes of, Good Girl's Guide to Murder instead of doing an hour on my book. Oh, I just was in a bad mood and I just didn't write, or like I'm not, there are people in my life that I'm unwilling to have that conversation with. I'm just not willing to be that person and I don't mean in like, this is where if you're if you're a recovering people pleaser, this is where you're going to use it for good. Okay. And you're going to find out if you're not in a community like that, if you're not in a group, then make sure you're hanging out here. Because those of you, I know a lot of you are watching the replay, those of you are on listening, you are doing it. You are getting after it. And this is not about not having time. I also make non-negotiable taking a walk every day where I'm not listening to it, not working, like truly just connecting, getting my body, getting grounded. I do get ideas on that walk lots of times, but it's not, I meditate every single day, multiple times a day. Just it's for me, I don't want to be the person I am without meditation. So that's what I do. It's not virtuous. It's not like to be a good person. It's because it lets me be the person I want to be here to be, as a mother, as a partner, as a coach, as a writer, all the things. So accountability, if you just want one piece today, because that was our other big question, who are you unwilling to disappoint? And get that person to be your accountability partner. Unfortunately, it's usually not ourselves. Does anyone relate? Usually it's not just ourselves, right? Often it is other. Okay. So one of the questions just came in, when life gets in the way. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I can't tell you, when I had something last week where I found out because of changing over, upgrading something in our like banking, the bank was like, you have to come into the bank in person. And I was wanting to be like, do you understand what my schedule is like? Do you understand that's going to take me 2 hours by the time I get down there and have this meeting? This can't be done. We can send people into space, but we can't, you have to make me come into the bank. I mean, this is the tantrum I wanted to throw. It is. It is. It's the tantrum I wanted to throw. But I just said, I am going to have this be for me. Okay. So how do we turn around life getting in the way? I claim that time and I say, this is not derailing me. And so on the way to the bank, I'm dictating, my next like email sequence that I would have been on the computer writing or something. I'm going to use that time at the bank to network, see if anyone at that bank wants to sponsor our next event or know someone that wants to write about, you know what I mean? Like I turn it into a networking opportunity and not in a gross way, like I'm going there making some, but like really being present. Like, how could I add value to this team? How could I be of service to them? Is there any, partnership? There may or may not be. And then I actually thought about, well, the bank is near. What is it near that I don't usually go to that could be an opportunity? And so I actually went and scouted a location for a future event. So then the bank wasn't this annoying 2 hour time. It's like, now, Susan, when you're talking about, I have to get new health insurance, I mean, some of that stuff is you're just sitting on the freaking phone, like waiting for and just like, and it's like, okay. And then what I do is I say, this time comes back to me 100-fold. This comes back to me 1,000-fold. This comes back, however, like okay. So I'm going to answer one more question for today. And then I want everybody to think about for our next Q&A. Yeah, if it's perma hold, if you're on hold, because I had that on something else last month. I just sat there while I was like, what am I going to accomplish while I'm on hold? Like I truly was like, this is not going to just be a suck. What am I going to like? Well, I can hear the annoying music just to know I'm still connected on the line. And then I went, or is there, someone in the home who's not as busy as you all are, can sit there on hold and then just pass the phone over when I'm, this is an insane example, but just this is what I want us all to think about is out of the box around time, around accountability. There are people. My sister lives in New York City, and there's a pizza place in Brooklyn near where she lives that has a line for hours every day. It's like at noon, people start lining up. The restaurant opens at 5. People start lining up at like 10 a.m. And she's like, she does documentary films, like she's on set, she's directing, she's producing, she's doing things, right? And there are people in New York City, kind of like TaskRabbit for odd jobs, that will go stand in line for you for theater tickets, for restaurants. They'll stand on hold on you can pay someone a small amount because they can be doing work. They're co-working, they're doing, they're getting paid to stand in a line and sending out, resumes or pitches, or they're working on their screenplay. And she was had a very special friend coming into town and wanted to go to this pizza place they want to go to. And this person stood in line, got her on the list, made the reservation for 8 p.m. when she was done with her shoot. And then she showed up and had pizza. Okay, now you can think, oh my God, like what kind of insane world do we live in? I'm just saying, thinking out of the box. Oh, if I want to go to that place, I have to go stand in line and waste 10 hours. No, you don't. And there's always a way. There's a solution, there's a fix, there's a solve, the answer's in the room. And so thinking about if there is these derailing, time-sucking things, how can we turn it around and make it an opportunity? How can we make it 10 times more productive than if we were just at home? I mean, I know this is really like annoying. It's annoying, but our alternative is to feel like a victim, right? Our alternative is to feel like my time's not my own. Something always gets in the way. This is always, so I just say this is going to come back to me because sometimes I can't multitask and I can't hire it out. And it's something I just have to do. And then you can use what the Navy SEALs call embrace the suck. And you just embrace the suck and say, I am affirming that more time is going to open up for me, or I'm going to get a download during this time that I'm doing this thing that I, do not feel like, I had a table fall on my foot 2 weeks ago. We can read the metaphysics into that. And it was ridiculously painful to the point that I needed to go to the urgent care facility and get it x-rayed and all of that. And that wasn't what I planned to do at that time, right? And it was not fun. And I was at like an 8 out of a 10 on the pain scale. And it was like, okay. And I just thought, this isn't I'm not going to be writing while I have like radiating nerve pain shooting up through my body. So I get to surrender. I just get to surrender and know that this is going to open up for me, and something, incredible is going to come out of me being fully present and showing up and just being a source of love in that urgent care. And it's like, maybe I could leave this place in a higher vibe energy than when I left. Can I give someone a joke, a laugh, boost them up? Thank you. Just putting positive and that energy, gratitude, being of service, surrender also opens up time, and it opens up flow, and it opens up innovation and creativity. So we started today with, how do we manage a year when it's not rinse and repeat, when there's so much coming from many different angles, and there's so much going on in the world, and it's overwhelming. And the we're going to get into over the next few weeks, like, how does thought leadership play into this? What needs to happen for a book to work and be the solution for a lot of these challenges with the way people are buying or not buying, or way people are investing or not investing, and the way people are, making purchasing decisions and hiring people. Like, we're going to break it all down, but none of it can start for me until I actually get into a state where I start from vision and build my life around the vision. I let the time move around the vision. I let my action steps move around the vision. I let my commitment, I let my choices. And this has only made me a better mother, a better partner, it has not taken away. I'm not talking about where we ignore the people in our life, we ignore our health, we ignore our spirituality. I'm talking about quite the opposite. And anything that you decide that you get to have, you will have. Anything. Isn't that crazy? Like, when it becomes a decision and a non-negotiable, the way is revealed. The problem for most of us is that we sit a step before that and think, can I do this? Am I worthy of this? Is there enough time for this? Is there enough money for this? And when we're in there, nothing opens up. None of the ideas download. So I want to hear what landed today from our first. This is just like our big questions today were, time and accountability. Those are the questions we got the most. Oh, because things have felt chaotic, because there's been so many moving parts, because there's been so many different things, you deciding what's most important. What is that energy that's most buzzing? Is it your book? Is it revenue? Is it speaking? What is it that's buzzing the most for you? And then deciding that there is the time, brain priming by saying, how can I create the time and the energy and resource? Or how did I? My favorite. And then picking the person or group that you most refuse to let down and saying, this is what I'm doing, no matter what. All right. So to be continued. Keep sending these awesome questions. I love, 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 love seeing your questions. You can send questions to care@saraconnell.com. You can put questions in the comments on social and on the podcast and here in the Zoom room. And then we will be back in 2 weeks to answer them. All right. I will see you all soon. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. And remember, just use what we talked about today and you'll create a shift this week. We'll see you then.